Hey everyone, it's time for some more Monster Hunter, and today we'll be playing Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. Now, what's likely going to happen is there's probably going to be 2 or 3 different videos coming out today at least. Over the last couple of days, I was having some network troubles that was making it difficult for me to upload or stream, but hopefully I do have that figured out now. That said, over the last couple of days, the votes that have been put in for the videos for the random quest, we're going to have those uploaded probably just all at once, honestly. But yeah, that said, thank everybody for being here, and today we'll be doing the 1-star quest, Hunt the Great Wroggi. I know that it won't be the most exciting or, super interesting video, but I did say I'd randomize these quests, and indeed the quests have been randomized. I'm actually really surprised I haven't gotten too many gathering quests yet. I think I've only had 1 or 2, but most of them have been hunting quests for the most part. So we'll probably sprinkle those in over the next couple of weeks, maybe 1 or 2 here and there, just to kind of spice it up a little bit and bring in some more of the relaxing elements to these quests. That said, without any further ado, let's get right into it. Actually, will correct myself, the quest was Toxic Troublemaker, the 1-star quest. The quest description is, I removed some thick grass on the ground when someone stepped onto it. He was so orange in color and especially big. I wasn't able to deal with it, so I handed it over to you. I'm praying for your luck. Now, I do understand that this was a Japanese-only game to begin with, and this is just probably a rough translation for the most part, but I do think it's interesting seeing how some of these quests are translated for the descriptions. It does give me something to work off of. I was complaining about that in Frontier, but I do think, like I said before, it is kind of funny how it's translated. It's almost incoherent in its rambling. The random quest is, I remove some thick grass on the ground. You remove some grass. Incoherent in its rambling.
Hey, yeah. Editor's note. Maybe shut yo sleepy ass up.
The guy was basically saying you remove some grass and he accidentally stepped on a great Wroggi, I think, somehow. Either way, it's just a funny image I've painted in my head. Now, a mistake I won't make that I made last time is making sure I actually have some form of healing. It looks like I have some potions here, and besides that, I also know there's going to be hopefully a full stack of first aid meds once I actually get there. And as long as everything goes well for the most part, it should be okay. Although I did just realize I forgot to get some antidotes, so maybe I should learn to start bringing those on quests that's going to have poison monsters, or poison-focused monsters. Now, it actually looks like there's some antidotes that already come included in the box, so that will definitely help out. Great Wroggi, he's not like super poison focused in that a lot of his attacks have poison, connected to him. I guess like Rathalos' claw attack or Rathian's tail attack. But he does spit out poison clouds, and it is pretty easy to get poisoned by him. Either way, I do need to remember to start drinking some sake or whatever I'll probably have before I start coming here, because something I think is kind of funny about Monster Hunter Portable 3rd, with it being a Japanese exclusive game, they didn't have to worry about censoring certain themes as much, certain adult things, such as drinking alcohol. So, for example, instead of eating food in this game, you actually drink alcohol in order to power up. And that's just something I think is kind of funny. Another thing I think is pretty neat is that, compared to the other Monster Hunter games, not Frontier, but Freedom was Gen 1. I guess Frontier was Gen 2 as well. But the other PSP1, Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, and even Monster Hunter Freedom 2, they were both Gen 2. So this is actually Gen 3. So it's 3 different generations of Monster Hunter games all on one system. Whereas if you look at the PS2, there's only 2 generations. If you look at the 3DS, I believe there's only 2 generations as well. And even in current gen, if we're looking at current gen consoles, technically there's only 1 or 2 generations per console. I guess, 5th gen, so yeah, with Monster Hunter Rise, yeah, it's 2 generations for like PS4 or Xbox One X, or not, Xbox One, excuse me. I believe Monster Hunter Rise is on the systems as well, although I could be wrong. And I'm also trying to figure out where Great Wroggi is. I think he might be in Area 6, maybe? But I'm not 100% sure. It could also be Area 7. But yeah, as I was saying, when it comes to the most amount of, Monster Hunter change, the most amount of Monster Hunter generations you're going to get on one system, I do think it's pretty neat that the PSP, out of all systems, if you're willing to import the game at least, has the most generations of Monster Hunter packed onto one system. Okay, I was actually struggling to find this guy, but it looks like we finally found him. So just like with the Great Gigantic, I just realized I wasn't really focusing on my stamina. I was just trying to get to where I was needing to go. But just like the Great Jaggy and the Great Baggett, the Great Wroggi has his own little group of minions here. And also, you should probably get rid of these guys because they are kind of dangerous compared to the other small monsters because, oh my goodness, because they also spit out poison clouds. So compared to the others, I guess the Great Baggy do have the sleep spit as well, but it's just a good idea to get rid of the baggies here because, oh my goodness, yeah, there's that poison cloud I was talking about. So I'm gonna go ahead and use an antidote so I don't have to worry about draining too much of my health. But just like the Great Wroggi, the Wroggies here, actually, I realized I was calling them all three. They're not baggies, they're Wroggies, but they actually spit out miniature poison clouds, and they don't have as wide of an area of effect, but I think they basically have the same effect regardless of the size of the poison cloud. But Great Wroggi's thing is that stacked underneath his throat.
I may not have a brain, gentlemen, but I have an idea.
And a little fun fact, his armor set is actually just a set of cowboy armor. Although I think it's interesting he's going after the Larenoth. Oh, you cheeky son of a gun. I don't know if that was deliberate, but he actually went and targeted that Larenoth. And by the small monsters getting attacked by the large monsters, pretty much anytime these small monsters take damage in these older generation games, they automatically target and go after the player. I think that stops in Gen 4 where they kind of just sit back and kind of scream at you and the other monster until the monster leaves, but I think that's kind of a cheeky little move that the Great Wroggi here went and spit at the Larenoth so that it would attack me. Whether or not AI was coded to do that is another story, but if it's AI was coded to do that, I mean, hey, cheeky, and the developers, yeah, sort of thing, that is evil. Oh my goodness, stop. Oh no. Yep, there's that Larenoth coming after me. I do gotta be careful because I think even though they're not exactly difficult, they do a decent amount of damage compared to the other small monsters. Oh my goodness. And he can also use that poison cloud as cover to obfuscate what he's gonna do next, and that can lead to some free damage if you're not careful. So yeah, I do gotta make sure I'm a little bit more careful dealing with those poison clouds as well. Honestly though, after playing Monster Hunter Wilds, it's really difficult to go back to a time where the shield itself can't parry attacks, because I do like that sort of Sekiro style gameplay with these monsters when it comes to doing the time blocks and countering with the sword and shield. It just really makes a lot more fun for me. However, something that the newer games don't have is that leap attack right there. That is my favorite move in the entire sword and shield arsenal. And I think what it was regulated to is the backstep attack. So if you do the, obviously you can't do it in this game, it didn't come around until the 4th generation, but if you attack a monster, you can then hold back in the secondary attack button, the one for the shield dash in this game, or the circle slash in the 1st and 2nd gen. And what it'll do is it'll allow you to backstep, and then that charge slash, because you can hold it down to do a charge slash, that's what that was regulated to. And I think that's really sad, because I like being able to do it on command, because it's just a good move, it does a lot of damage, and I believe it has more knockback compared to the other attacks in the 3rd generation, but I could be wrong as well. Obviously, with the Great Wroggi, when it comes to him being enraged, you can tell because of the steam coming out of his mouth, although I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity to not have the steam be a purplish color to, you know, obviously indicate he's a venomous creature. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, but that charge, that was it, lunge, I guess it's called. The hip check, I guess, his version of hip check. I do obviously be mindful of that. I think that's actually his most damaging move in his arsenal there, but he is running off, it looks like. But as I was saying, I think it was a bit of a missed opportunity in terms of like immersion at least, or I don't know, a bit of world building, I guess, to not have the steam coming out of his mouth be purple. But I don't know if he actually spams the poison attack more. At the very least, I know that the Great Wroggi attacks a lot faster and a lot more frequently, and obviously does more damage in addition to that, so definitely got to be careful and be mindful of your surroundings and be mindful of what attacks he's doing whenever he does get enraged. After that enraged period though, he does get exhausted, so he'll probably be looking for food after this next time he runs off, or he might even be looking for food if there's something nearby in the middle of the fight. I'm not exactly sure what he eats now that I think about it, but my guess is he does prey on the other monsters in the area, and he'll kind of go looking for them eventually. Ooh. Yeah, but his goal is to find food. Yeah, it looks like he's going to do that right now. So I guess he's going to feed on the Altaros, or not. I'm not 100% sure, but my guess is, okay, alright. So yeah, these Altaros, they are definitely getting in the way, as usual. Typical 3rd gen Altaros. They're like the Wolfango of this generation on this, because they just constantly seem to find time to charge at you and get in the way, and that is very noble. So I'm going to go ahead and focus on this guy. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was going to try to focus him down a little bit, but when it comes to these more aggressive small monsters, I always try to kind of get rid of them where I can. But as I was saying, whenever they do get exhausted, their goal is to find some food to get rid of the exhaustion. Once the exhaustion is dealt with and they do find something to feed off of, it kind of automatically puts them back into their enraged state. And obviously their main goal, according to their program at least, is to stay in that enraged state. That way they can attack more frequently and do more damage. Something I actually forgot is that in the 3rd gen, there's a lot of utility. Oh, and something else I forgot. I believe that after a certain amount of time, even if they don't feel anything, that I'm going to get back into an enraged state. But something that was added to the Sword and Shield's utility that makes it really useful is that with the secondary attack button, you can now do shield bashes. And since blunt weapons do stun damage, you can actually target the head of the shield bashes and potentially stun a monster and make it dazed so that you get a lot of free damage in there. And also, if you target the face enough, especially if they're a weaker monster like the Great Wroggi, you can definitely stun it a lot more often, and not only that, but you can also knock it back a lot more often as well. And that just leads to more free damage in general. Overall, yeah, just very useful. The really big downside, though, is that the same with the other weapon, it will still affect your sharpness and with the shield, which I think is kind of interesting, but I also understand that probably would have been a pain in the butt to program both the sword and the shield separately, especially with them being one single weapon that's continuously together, that's obviously you can't like separate or anything. Although that does make me wonder, hey, put out in the comments if this is something you've ever thought about, but imagine if you could actually use the swords and shields separately. Like, yeah, maybe you gotta have both in order for the weapon to function, so maybe you gotta have at least one sword and one shield in order to use the actual weapon, but for sword and shield, or lance, or gun lance, or, you know, even dual blades, imagine if there's a sort of dual equip system where you could equip one in one hand from one set, and then another in the other hand from another set. Do you think that's ever come to Monster Hunter? Because I think that'd actually be a really neat addition, especially if they're not going to bring back Prowlers or add another weapon already. Because they haven't done so in at least 2 generations, and honestly, I think that's kind of tragic. Alright, looks like we got the Great Wroggi limping over here. With this being the 1-star class, I think, I'm not entirely sure, I'm not like 100% on this, but I think he's about as strong as he is in single player during the 1-star class. I would say whenever we fight him in single player and actually go through this game properly, this is probably one of the quests we'll be doing. Although I do wonder if I should start incorporating the single player quests, since some of them are unique and into the single quest videos. I'm not really considering it too strongly though, mainly because, I mean, these monsters are already all in multiplayer, and obviously I want to preserve, you know, the viewing cutscenes for the initial playthrough and actually go through the game. Although, something I forgot is that with those clouds lingering in the air, oh no, he's actually leaving, but I think he's going to Area 10, and that is where his nesting area is, so I'm going to go ahead and run over there, but as I was saying, when it does come to the actual single player class, I do want to preserve the viewing the cutscenes for when I'm actually playing through the games in chronological order. Obviously, it's going to be a little while for this one, but it is what it is. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and do a safety paintball here because I'm wondering if he's going to be leaving again. With him being the kind of cheeky little guy he's been this whole time, I am going to not chance it. But with those poison clouds lingering, I did forget that you can actually get damaged by them even after the poison has been spewed from his mouth. It kind of acts as a sort of area hazard. But if I remember correctly, he should be going to Area 10. Let me actually double check and see if I have any bombs. I do not, but what I do have is a trap and trank bombs. So here's what I'm gonna do. I am going to wait for him to pause in area 10. I'm gonna give him a moment to stop and rest, and then once I'm certain he's asleep, I'm going to try to capture him. Because I think I do too many kill quests. I don't think I try to capture the monsters enough in these sorts of missions. So I'm waiting for him to get nice and settled, and then once he's settled down, as soon as that little pink dot stops moving, right about now, I would say, I'm gonna go ahead and go over there and try to use a shock trap on him, and hopefully he hasn't gotten to the point where he's healed past the limping damage. I know I've done a decent amount of damage to him, so let's go ahead and drop this trap down here, and hopefully the baggy don't wake him up. Oh my goodness, that daggum baggy. But let's go ahead and use it. There we go. Yeah, now I've captured a great Wroggi. Got himself a nice big boy, and I believe select this button to skip cutscenes in this game. That is something I always thought was kind of annoying. It seems like almost every Monster Hunter game, or at least every generation, they make the button to skip the cutscenes a different one. But I'm gonna go ahead and try to carve this guy before the timer's down. I believe it only gives you like 20 seconds before the end of the mission whenever you capture monsters. So your time to carve materials from small monsters and gather items is definitely severely reduced. But let's see if I can quickly finish this guy off and carve him. Oh, no, does it give you 30 seconds or does it give you the full 60 seconds? I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. But we were able to manage that down pretty quickly, about 10 minutes. And no, I think it's 15 minutes from the start of the quest. So about 14 minutes and 25 seconds, I believe. No, not 14 minutes. 15 minutes. 15 minutes and 25 seconds. So it is just a 1-star, but hey, not too bad. Eventually, though, it looks like it does give you a full 60 seconds, though. But I know that eventually I am going to have to increase the power of this sword and shield, because if it's taking 15 minutes for a 1-star monster, oh yeah, I definitely need to. I'm guessing they severely nerfed the sword and shield from the freaking 1 days, because that is definitely what it seems like. Alright, yeah, I think I'm gonna call right there. Thank everybody so much for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like on it. Comment down below on what you think about my idea on swapping weapons between your left and right hand. Do you think a dual wield system will ever come into Monster Hunter? I mean, obviously not for all weapons, but they brought parrying and offset attacks and stuff to certain weapons in Monster Hunter Wilds. And although every weapon got a little bit of love, I think having a sort of kinsec system, but for a weapon in the left hand and a shield or a weapon in the right hand for pretty much all the weapons, maybe even like mingling the sword and shield and dual blades weapon trees together. Maybe not necessarily moving them together, but kind of giving them a sort of similar system. Same with lance and gun lance as well. Perhaps both the main weapon and the offhand could have different passes or buffs or drawbacks that you could use them with. But yeah, what do y'all think? Let me know in the comments below, because I genuinely want to know everybody's opinion on that idea. I think it's a pretty interesting one. That said, if you want to support the future of the channel, definitely give a like on the video and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I want to get to the point where I can survive off content creation, and even though a subscription is free and just a click of a button for you, for me it means the world, and it will definitely help towards bringing this dream to a reality. And also help me to feed my dogs without having to worry about not being able to, I guess. And if you also want to support the future of this channel, check my Patreon, link in the description below as well. That's it. Thank everybody for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye now.